welcome everybody back. I hope you had some nice food down there and a bit of a snack to recharge. Really appreciate you coming today and appreciate your attention here. This is actually probably my favourite part of my job. My name is Brennan. I'm the Student Connect and Engagement Manager, essentially student services, but one of the roles that I do, which I love doing and quite passionate about, is I manage our elite athlete program. So the people I have sitting here to my left and your right, 4 of our 44 elite athletes we have here at ACPE. Just briefly about that, we categorise our elite athletes into 2 categories. We have Category 1 and Category 2. We've got a mixture of them here. Category 1 athletes are generally athletes that represent Australia or play sport that gets televised. And Category 2 are students that are generally on their way to that. We have NRL players, we've got National Premier League players, we've got basketball players, we've got sailors, we've got fencers, all up about 20 different sports represented here at ACPE. But enough about me. The people that are the exciting people to talk about are right beside me. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we're just going to run through some questions. And I'd be really happy to get some questions from you, because these people are actually doing it, playing elite sport and managing to study full-time as well. So I might hand it over to Cormac. He's going to introduce himself. Go for it.
Hi everyone, my name's Cormac Ryan. My sport that I compete in is para-athletics, more specifically wheelchair racing. So events on a athletics track and on the road, so things like a marathon, a 10K and a half marathon. I compete nationally and internationally. I've been very lucky to do that a few times, and at the moment I'm studying a Bachelor of Sports Coaching in Strength and Conditioning.
So one of the great things about working with elite athletes is they're generally very humble. So they say things, but there's so much more behind what they said. Like Cormac just casually said to me a month ago, "Oh look, I'm just off to Switzerland." So I get a lot of that. I said, "Well, you're going to Switzerland, but you're going to tell me that?" "Oh, it's no big deal, it's no big deal." But so Cormac's been to Switzerland, and how did you go over in Switzerland, Cormac?
Yeah, I went okay. It was a tour of 3 competitions, and I came away with, out of 9 races, I came away with 4 gold, 3 silver, and 1 bronze.
That's humility in action there. Thanks, Cormac, that's amazing. I might pass it over to Kiara.
I'm Kiara Zabetakis. I'm a TA2 racing car driver. Yes, I know I don't look like it. I get that a lot. But yeah, so we're the series under supercars right now. We're the feeder series for them. I'm aiming to be over in America soon, ideally, with the help of ACPE, because they've helped me a lot with the flexibility. Currently, right now, I'm studying a Bachelor of Sports Management. So, yeah.
Yeah, so pass it over to Joey. That was great, Kiara.
Hi everyone, my name's Joseph Coles. I am a Premier League field hockey player, and currently at ACP I'm studying health science exercise.
Thanks, Joey. And Joey's our resident furniture builder as well. He's very good at that too. So there's a question coming up about skills that, anyway. Mackenzie.
My name is Mackenzie Manev. I do gymnastics. Now, gymnastics is a really big umbrella. There's tramp, mag, wag, there's aero, there's tumbling, so all different genres of it. I do the aero part, and then I'm studying a Bachelor of Dance and PhD education.
And you're about halfway through your degree, is that right?
Yeah, at the end of this semester I've got 2 more years.
Yeah, great. So I've actually asked Mackenzie if I can share this story. It's probably my favourite story here at ACPE, and I've been in this role since January last year, and Mackenzie walked in one day with a moon boot on. I'd never met Mackenzie before, and I said to Mackenzie, "So what happened?" She goes, "Oh, I've just got an injury." And I said, "Well, what happened?" She goes, "I was in Queensland last week." And I said, "What were you doing?" She goes, "I was competing." I said, "What at?" "Oh, national championships." I said, "How'd you go?" She goes, "Oh, look, I won gold." And I went, "But in a moon boot?" I don't know, I injured it halfway through the tournament. And I said, "What, you didn't go and get it looked at?" She goes, No, I had to compete." Mackenzie competed through torn, ruptured ligaments in gymnastics, which I thought I was in pain just listening to the story. But just casually, and like I said, humbly said to me, "Oh, yeah, I won gold." So that's my favourite story here. That was kind of one of my introductions to ACP. I'm thinking, what have we got here? Masochist students. No. Okay, so thanks for that. Look, I just want to was thinking about this last night and trying to give this some meaning. I was recently at a graduation at Sydney Uni for my son. He was graduating from the Conservatorium of Music, and the Vice-Chancellor of Sydney Uni got up and spoke, and I thought she said something that really resonated with me, which I've been thinking about for a long time, but she managed to sort of encapsulate it in about sort of 5 words. But she said one of her favourite graduations is the Conservatorium of Music, because she said these are the best of the best, and these people have been doing what they've been doing since they've been about 5 or 6 years old, and they've done it because they love it. There's nobody that gets into the conservatorium without having played music since they were really, really young. And I think the analogy with elite athletes is quite, I mean, every single one of these people here and the elite athletes we look after, they've been doing what they've been doing since they've been very, very young. So I think congratulations to you, because it's only something like about 8% of elite athletes actually get where they want to get to. So it's a massive commitment. And that's where ACPE gets in, because we actually also have got the more grown-up viewpoint, which is that we're looking after the athletes after their careers are over as well. So they don't know that yet. They just look at me and go, that's not what I want, Rob, sorry. But anyway, so I'm going to throw over to the questions now. So can you share your journey into elite sport, and when did you realise you can compete at the level you're at?
Yeah, so I've been in the sport that I compete in, para-athletics, since I was 5 years old. And that came about when my family and I moved to Sydney. Obviously, we were looking for opportunities for me outside of school, because disability comes with a few barriers. So we were looking for something that I could be passionate about outside of study. And I've just sort of stuck with the sport and have been lucky enough to excel forward since then. And I think the moment it clicked for me that I could compete at a higher level in the sport was when I made my first national team, which was when I was in Year 7 back in 2019. And that was the first national team I'd ever been a part of. It was a bigger group, and it opened my eyes to the opportunities that could be achieved with things like consistency and practice, and it allowed me to visualize what my goal of getting to the Paralympics would look like a little bit.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Now the mic's on. Kiara. Now, I will preface this. I had, when Kiara joined here, so Kiara's 18 years old, and I had this burning question I wanted to ask her. She's driving race cars. And I was thinking, has she got a P's? Has she got a P's? And of course I asked the question, she just rolled her eyes at me like that was the worst dad joke she'd ever heard, you know what I mean? Of course I've got my P's. So I need to know that, because I might go for a drive with her one day and I don't think I could do it otherwise.
Oh, it wouldn't be great anyway. I can still only do 90, so it's not that great. Yeah, so I've been in TA2 for just over a year now, but my career started when my dad taught me how to drive manual when I was only 8 years old at our farm down south. Bit of a different story. I actually started really late because a lot of kids go into go-karting first, and you step up from that program and go into cars, and that's the sort of avenue you really go towards. But for me, like, I didn't come from a motorsport family. I don't come from any name or any association with that. My father's actually a soccer player instead, so it was very different for us. It helps that he's a mechanic always, but yeah, we still had to learn heaps. So yeah, he taught me how to drive manual, and every weekend we'd have a little race with our neighbours down south, and they were thinking, why is she beating us? Like, this is odd, like, doesn't make sense. Anyway, and then fast forward, a year goes, and I've done 4 or 5 track days, and then I got the opportunity. I got picked up by a team who wanted to assist me in RX8 Cup, and then I've gone, amazing since then. I've been lucky too, obviously with the partners I have as well, because motorsport can be very cutthroat. Like, when it's very high, it's very good, but when the lows, it's very low. So you have to be able to support yourself and be confident, and in that sort of thing as well, because you're competing against professional teams in a sense. Like TA2, we've got supercar drivers, we've got MSR, we've got all these big teams. Like, and I just come from a privateer family. Like, we're just trying to fund every round. Like, these people are testing every week, so it can be difficult sometimes, but I think you don't think of it in that sense because you want it enough. So yeah.
Thanks, Kiara. Thank you.
My journey first began when I was pretty young. I first picked up the sport, as in picking up a stick, when I was probably 3 or 4. And then I went and played a few other sports, did some swimming and all sorts of things. And then later came back to the sport to play at an elite level around probably 15, where I was picked up in my first state squad. And then from there, I was involved with a lot of pathways in promoting my journey to the Premier League competition in Sydney, where I now play in Premier League to contests, where that really showed that I have goals to try and make Junior World Cups and make teams like Boroughs and Kookaburras later in life.
So I started gymnastics, like the kinder gym, when I was 3, because my mum just wanted to get me out of the house because she was sick of me bouncing off the walls. Then my coach from that class was like, she's too much, she needs to go up either into like the international stream or level streams, like she just needs to get out of the class because she's just doing my head in. So then when I was put up into the international stream, I was then qualified onto the New South Wales state team in year 3. And then from there, I've then just been doing it non-stop. This year will be my 11th national team selection. And next week I'm also off to China for my 10th international competition. So pretty much my elite career started when I was in year 3. So yeah, that's here.
And I have to ask, what's your latest injury? What was your latest injury?
I've recently just come out of a sling because I dislocated my shoulder and did some nerve and ligament damage. Yeah. I'm pretty much always in the walls, but yeah.
There's always some bandage around there, Mackenzie. That actually leads into the next question. I just want to ask, so out of the students that are here and adults, who plays sport for a start? Put your hand up. That's just not true. That is not a true. Okay. Who plays sport, you think, at what you'd say like semi-elite level or elite level? Put your hand up. Okay. So some of this stuff should be resonating with you as well, and I think most of you'd be 15 to 17, I imagine. So I'll get my demographic right. But that leads quite nicely into the next question, because I wanted to actually ask, and I might start down the other end this time if that's okay, Mackenzie, just to mix it up a little bit. So what setbacks and challenges have shaped your career, and how did you overcome them so far?
Gosh, there's too many. A lot for me comes down to injuries. I do find that with injuries, it's more of a mental thing to overcome rather than a physical. I do get very low, even though us elite athletes should, take that as an advantage to recover, rest, and just improve from then. I do have this mindset where after a competition, if I'm not really happy with how I've done, I'm shitty, I'm disappointed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, whatever, I give myself 5 minutes. Then after that, I have to snap out of it because there's no point dwelling on it. Can't change the result now, just have to work harder. So yeah, I do take progression, feedback, quite seriously, because without that, you're not going to get real far. There's no point being hard on yourself because... yeah, you have to focus on the controllables.
That's quite a tough trait to have, though, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to be genuinely reflective on what you do, and I know as elite athletes, it's actually the biggest critic is yourself, right? And I think that's a really tough mindset to get out of. I think that's a really good example of that, Mackenzie. Thank you. Joey?
One of my biggest issues I had was I don't live anywhere near Sydney, so I live around 2 to 2.5 hours south of Sydney. So a lot of the main competitions and training programs originate and happen within Sydney. So one of the top levels within New South Wales is the Sydney Metropolitan Comp. So training and trying to play in that required me to leave school early on a Thursday afternoon to play, which required a 3-hour drive from, if anyone knows, Bomaderry to Ryde through peak hour. So I needed a lot of support in trying to get to places. I know one time we ended up driving from my house to Grafton, which was a 10-hour drive, which was not fun. So backing me with a lot of support from my mum, my dad, driving me to a lot of places really helped me to access those pathways and the training that I needed to become a better athlete and reach the levels that I want to reach.
And just on that note, thank you to all the parents that are in the room that do that on a weekly basis. That I just get that one in.
So obviously with my sport, since it's all over Australia, we have to travel as well, and you can't seriously get a car on a plane. So yeah, we're always with the trailer around Australia. I've been lucky enough with my dad that he's committed a lot of his time to helping me, and even my mum as well, even though she absolutely hates it and she can't watch it, which fair enough, it's not for everyone, especially when it's your daughter. So yeah, that's been really hard in a sense, you know, dad leaving work and us having to run a business at the same time as travelling away for racing, and also the funding as well. Like, I'll be honest with you, if I didn't have the sponsors that I do this year, it probably wouldn't be possible, because, you know, when you're not part of a professional team that's, you know, not paying you to be there and that sort of thing, it's kind of hard. And I'll admit, like, you know, you go through the tough times though, but I'm just think of the end goal, and I'm very tough on myself. I think that's what you have to be like as an elite athlete. I get, you know, you need time for yourself as well to sort of regroup and that, but I think being hard on yourself is the only way you're going to get there as well. That's how I think, in a sense, and especially in motorsport. So yeah, if I had to say anything, it would probably just be the setbacks for me are getting enough track time and training, because I can't physically get there every week on a track. It's kind of impossible for us. So it's mainly twice a month that we train. Lucky enough to get that maybe. So rocking up to the round and practicing on the Friday is pretty much all that we get. So I'll learn the track, I'll regroup, get to know the car again, because, you know, we'll do setup changes, we'll do different tyres, like it just depends, honestly. Like this weekend, I'm literally leaving straight after this. I'm going to race an RX-8. I've never been in an RX-8 before, never been to the track, so within 20 minutes I've got to just get it all done and be quick straight off the bat. So I think, yeah, you're going to have setbacks, you know, that's part of the sport, that's part of life, to be honest, but yeah, I'm appreciative to have that opportunity, so yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see that the panel share quite a few common setbacks, and I think the one that I've noticed for myself in recent years since I finished high school is the balance between committing yourself to an elite level of sport and balancing other priorities like school, like your HSE. That was a big one for me. My parents were really pushing me to sort of seek out the HSE as an avenue to explore different opportunities as a sort of setback, just in case, you know, something were to happen in the sporting arena, which I didn't really agree with. And I think it's really important to figure out for yourself where your priorities lie, and to look at things from a grounded and realistic point of view, which is quite hard to do at certain ages. But more predominantly, balancing school with training was quite hard for me. So once my coach and I sat down a few years ago and decided that we were going to commit to competing internationally as much as we could, we began a training schedule where we're training 7 to 9 times a week, which is quite a struggle with school 5 times a week, and it can get quite overwhelming. So I was lucky enough to have a good community around me where when times got low, there were mechanisms in place for me to get my mental health in order, to keep committing to the things that I prioritized, which I think was really important in getting me to things that I've achieved at the moment.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's quite insightful hearing that. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking, and this is a question without notice, I warned you there was one going to come, but the thing that strikes me about the elite athletes, just in general, and the people that I've met in my life, and, you know, friends that I've got that are elite athletes as well, is that, or actually elite in any field, but it becomes so much a part of your identity. I mean, is that about right? Like, that's how you identify yourself in some ways, right? And I think that's the hard part about being an elite athlete, because, you know, you hear stories of students but players that go through their career. They've got a career that lasts maybe 6 to 10 years if they're lucky, and then that's been their identity, and they hit 30 years old and they're going, well, what am I going to do now? So I think that's a really important point, which we'll focus on a little bit later, because I guess that's where probably ACPE comes in a little bit. But the question I want to go to now is managing your studies alongside your career, and how does ACPE support you doing that?
Yeah, just jumping back to what I was saying, there's quite a drastic difference between trying to manage studies in during your HSC as opposed to managing your studies at university. And what I've come to know, this is my first year studying at ACPE, and I've been pretty lucky to be able to still stick with all my competitions because ACPE has quite a range of things that support us. They have a range of really, really supportive scholarships, which can really help if you're training frequently or competing frequently. But the staff here are also very communicative and understanding of the process of elite sport. So when I competed in Switzerland a few weeks ago, there was quite an easy process to sort of manage my assessment, and I've always found that the staff have been very supportive in sort of allowing me the time that we need to sort of get assessments done and do all the things we have to do to be able to move through our courses.
Thanks, Cormac. Might pass it over to Kiara now.
So as I said with motorsport, like obviously the training, there's not much testing opportunity at Sydney Motorsport Park, if anyone knows, that's in Eastern Creek, but yeah, they don't have much testing opportunity, so I go a lot down to Melbourne for that, and ACPE has helped me enough that when I do have these training sessions or when I do have these race events, I'll send over a quick email, quick text, and be like, look, I'm sorry, I can't submit on this date, or I need, to reassess like what my work and everything, and I can't go through it right now because I'm not in the right headspace. So that's about it. They just give me that flexibility, and then within a week, I can go through my work again and I can submit it and know, confidently that I'm happy with my work. Which is a big thing too, because obviously when you care about your studies and when it's something you like, which I have loved it so far because it's been my first semester, and when you learn something that you love, like it's different to high school, because I know sometimes there's subjects that you don't like and you don't want to listen properly, and yeah, it's part of it, I guess, but yeah, you actually care so much more. So I was happy that I had, extra time and extensions and to be able to submit and be confident with my work. So yeah, they've been really great in that sense, so yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kiara. Actually, Kiara's understating her reaction a little bit because it is Kiara's first semester. I remember the first assessment was due and she rang me on a Monday in a complete panic saying, I've got an assessment due Wednesday. I'm actually on our way to Melbourne. We had to go to Melbourne. And I was just going, it's all right, Kiara, chill. It's all good. We'll talk to your lecturers. And I think the one thing that I really like about working with elite athletes is they're elite in a lot of ways. So they generally are very organised. So they let us know when things are coming up. That's true, Cormac. You've got no idea how organised you are. And they are also very diligent. So their standards are quite high. So they're obviously making sure their work's of a high quality as well. Every one of these athletes in front of you here they're averaging sort of, between sort of distinction, high distinction level, So it's and that's standard across all universities. If you talk to any university, their elite athletes are generally, they're training 6 months of the year over in Europe and they're getting their work done and getting high distinctions, or they're studying to be a doctor or something like that. So they get stuff done. So, but Kiara does. She's got used to it now. But I think she rang me one day. Why are you so flexible? Why are you so? As if she was expecting
I've never
punishment.
had that before, because I've just gone from high school and it's your teacher's like, you race? Yeah, no, you're just lying to me. I remember once I had to leave school early and I said to Miss, I was like, okay, I've got approval, I have to leave early, I'm going to the track. Kiara, stop pulling my leg. No, I'm serious. And I had to get approval again because she didn't believe me. So yeah, it's amazing here, honestly. I'm so happy, and I'm only my first semester in, so yeah. Yeah,
the real reason we actually got Kiara to bring her car along downstairs, you should get down and have a look at it, is just to prove that she actually is a race car driver. So that's been proved now, so flexibility continued. So, Joey.
Just to reiterate, obviously ACPE is really flexible, but I think one of the best things about the elite athlete program here and the process with getting extensions and getting you more time is that even if you haven't submitted an extension or haven't organised it, you can actually get it after the fact. So they have a program where you can get it up until 2 days after the fact. So even if you're still in the mindset where you have to, say you're racing, say you're playing a sport, get your competition done, you can still go, look, I didn't have time to send an email, but this is my reasons, here's my proof. And I think that really supported me because a lot of the time I'm doing a lot of driving personally, and sometimes I don't get back from training, whatever, till 12 to 1 in the morning. So a lot of the time I may not have time to send emails because I'm normally driving, but I think it's really helpful that ACPE allows you to, even after the fact, after the submission date, you can still appeal and try to get more time to help you move forward and get the grade that you wish.
Thanks, Joey.
So yeah, I do feel like I'm going to repeat a lot of the things that the past three have said, but there is a dramatic difference between like high school and even just like this uni especially, because I know some other unis aren't as lenient when it comes to elite athlete and supporting sporting students. But I know with my experience with even in primary school and high school, like I was training like 5 a.m. to like 7 a.m, then going to school, having to leave early to then go to training again. Mum and I were getting pulled into the office being like, why are you letting her like jig school? Like, because I always had a note saying that I had to leave early for like training and that, and they didn't like obviously support it, like Kiara said. Then same, like up until I got my license, I was in the car like doing my homework, doing my assessments. Now on the train I have to do them. But yes, with this uni, like they're very flexible with days. Like obviously you're not here 5 days a week when you're training 7 days a week. The hours are good, that you can like pick them to like suit your schedule. And then yeah, with getting extensions for assessments and that, obviously like I was going to Portugal earlier this year and I had 4 assessments I had to work on. I was like, look Rob, like I can't do it. So when I got back I had all these extensions and they were really supportive and helpful. I guess like at this uni they get to know you more as a person rather than a number, and they're like a really good support system to lean on. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I'm just on what Mackenzie said there. So, as the manager of the Elite Athlete Program, I can also, if someone's stuck halfway around the world, I can actually do the paperwork on behalf of the student as well. So it actually makes it a little bit more convenient too. I just wanted to digress a little because we're talking about elite athletes, but at ACPE, one of the studies has been doing a lot of studies recently on student belonging and what actually brings students together at university. So. Sport is a great way to bring people together in the community, and it's the same thing at university as well. So one of the real benefits is with the elite athletes, it's hard sometimes because certainly the Category 1 elite athletes, they can't play sport for us because they've got contracts. So there's no way the world Luke Garner, who plays for the Panthers, can go away and play rugby league nines because if he does his hamstring, he's contracted and he'd get in a lot of trouble for that. So not all of our elite athletes can actually represent ACPE because of their contractual arrangements. And we currently don't have race car driving at Unisports Nationals, but we're working on it. But however, we're sending 77 students to Perth later in the year for the Unisports Nationals. Sport is pretty much what we do here, you know what I mean? So if you decide to come to ACPE and you want to play sport, we do it, and we do it on a day-to-day basis as well. One last question, I think. No, it is coming up to the last question. Done very well, actually, and keeping me in check. So, the boring question. Okay. Are you, and if you are, how are you planning for life after sport? They're not, see?
So since high school, my mum's always kind of warned me that like, obviously your body can't do sport forever. So you always have to have a backup plan. And throughout high school, I was trying to figure out that I always wanted to do something in the sporting field, whether it be physiotherapy, OT, PT, like anything like that. But then I figured like physio is probably not for me because I like have to touch people's feet and I just don't like the idea of that. So then I was like, what about like PE and dance teaching? So that like after like my sporting like elite athlete career does like finish up, I can still be in schools like teaching something that I enjoy and love every day. So that's kind of how I've thought out about it. And coming to this uni, like I'm still able to do and complete my studies whilst doing my sport. So yeah.
Just on Rob's point about sport before I start, we also do staff first students. So in the In the hall, we pick a sport. We've done dodgeball in the past, we've done futsal, we've done table tennis, but just on the afterlife.
And that's one of the reasons why we don't do hockey, because Joey with a hockey stick at lecturers is not a good look, okay?
Just for afterlife. After this degree, my personal plan is I'm going to try to go into a master's. Currently, I'm trying to figure out what masters I want to do. There's masters in biomechanics, there's masters in physio, OT, anything that you could think of in the sport, exercise, health, science field. But my plan really is to honestly play for as long as I can and then work maybe in a practice or work privately or in the healthcare system, probably somewhere.
Thanks, Joey.
Well, the reason I'm doing my course is because eventually I want to manage my own race team one day. It is possible, I've found, because they're encouraging a lot more participation for females now, which is great. I mean, it won't obviously change in some aspects, like people are going to have their opinions, which, you know, I understand, but yeah, they've definitely encouraged it a lot more lately, so I'd love to help younger girls get in as well. I already instruct now, which is great, so that's helping me out a lot alongside my degree. But with racing as well, career-wise, I can be 70 and still racing, so it's a physical sport, but I've got a driver next to me, like in TA2, he's 75 and he's still having his fun out there, so so yeah, ideally I'd love to still be doing it as well, even if I didn't make it in my career, but yeah, the plan is to own a team one day, so yeah.
Fantastic, thank you, Kiara. Cormac.
Yeah, so thankfully I'm in a sport, wheelchair racing more specifically, as opposed to just para-athletics, where the age that the athletes peak at is quite a lot later than able-bodied athletics that you see on the track and on the road. So my rationale when deciding to enroll in ACPE in the degree of strength and conditioning was that if anything were to happen where I'd have to stop competing, which inevitably we all do at some point, I'd still want to stay in and around the field of parasport, because it's the thing that I'm number one most passionate about. And as a minority industry in parasports, I want to be able to contribute to a Paralympic team or a parasports team through strength and conditioning, either alongside my competition or afterwards. So I think doing this degree for me was a good way into ensuring that I stay in and around the sport.
Thanks so much, and thanks so much to all. We're not done yet. I actually, I'd really would encourage any questions from the audience. If you've got any questions for our athletes here, I would love to hear from you. And I'm sure that if you've got a question, that means another 10 people have probably got the same question. Are there any questions out there? See, the teacher in me just wants to pick someone. I'm just dying to pick someone, but I won't do that. Okay, I promise I won't do that. Okay, look, thanks so much for your time. And also, I get to sit here and they tell me new things about themselves. It's a pity I've got to get them on a panel before I find that out. One thing that Cormac didn't tell you is, once again, the humility thing kicking in, but Cormac's about to head to the Gold Coast and compete in his first marathon. So that's 42 kilometres in his wheelchair. And so I just chatted earlier on, recently I think the 2-hour barrier was broken by an able-bodied athlete in the marathon, sponsored by Adidas, by the way, which is great. But I asked Cormac, I said, the wheelchair's fun. He goes, yeah, so what's the world record for the wheelchair marathon, Cormac?
Yeah, so for my disability classification, obviously there's a large range for the men's. The world record in the wheelchair marathon is 1 hour and 29, which is
about 30 minutes faster than...
Yeah, I think it's an average speed of around 31, 32 k's per hour for a marathon, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so Cormac just dropped that before. By the way, I'm just going to compete in the marathon. So so good luck with that, Cormac. And all my arms are hurting just thinking about that. So thanks. I bet. So first of all, I want you to thank our panel for today. They've given their time for you, so thank you so much.